Did you hear it say the recording has started? Do you get to
Yes,
hear that?
I see that.
They letting us know. All right.
The recording has started.
You sound just like her. You could have been getting paid for that. Okay, shit.
One day, one day. Hey, everybody, how y'all doing? This is Unpacking Our Shit with Fee and K Jr. Today, we are talking about parents just don't understand. And what that means is we are talking about the dynamic between parent and child in the Black community and how that needs to change in order to help our progress. What we wanted to talk about today is basically what was on the promo for it is we wanted them to be great and we told them to go be great, but can we handle their greatness? Now, what I mean by that is they are dealing with a different set of rules and standards than our generation or the generation before us. It operates under a bit of more freedom, freedom and personal expression, freedom and individuality that the past generations weren't afforded. And they're not adapting to that very well, in my humble opinion. Fee, do you think they're adapting well?
Who are we referring to?
The elders, the older generation, adapting well to our freedom of expression and individuality.
They think we're a bit much. I know people think I'm a bit much, though. Do you know what I mean?
Next, you know?
Yeah, that's funny that you said that because one of the girls that's in my web series, Happiness Ain't Everything, it's a web series on YouTube. This is like a shameless plug, whatever. So she's a millennial, so she's like 25 or whatever, and she was showing her grandmother the web show, because her grandmother was proud of her for being in the web show, whatever. And her grandmother was laughing at it. She was really enjoying it. And she made a comment because, of course, I ain't going to say of course, but I talk a lot about, sex and sexuality and healing our wounds as well as our wombs, right? Women.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's some colored language in there and stuff, a little flavorful language.
A little bit. I've seen the show. There's a little language in it.
My grandmother said, "Oh, well, that writer nasty. That nasty writer." I said, "Girl." I said, "What?" And I was like, "Girl, yeah, don't be offended. Don't be offended." But yeah, she had to tag me. She said, "Did you hear my grandmother's comment?" Because she was sharing them on her stories. And her grandmother was cracking up, and then she was like, "That writer nasty."
Oh,
so I said, "Look, they think I'm a bit much." That was the whole moral to the story. Because I always gotta tell a story.
You know what? That's the thing though about this, because the older generation really does like to really hammer home this idea that they were these beacons of morality, and back in our day we were, so much, and it's like, no, y'all weren't, because we have, like we used to talk about earlier, we have more access to information. You know what I'm saying? We know these kids know more now, and it's at a click of the finger. All they got to do is type in Google or ask Google about the music or the entertainment of their day, of their generation. They was nasty.
Listen, Millie Jackson. Okay, that's the first person that comes to my head. Millie Jackson. Oh, and see, I like women like that. I love bold, brass women, like who don't, who go against the grain.
And Millie,
you see what I'm saying? Listen, she bolder than me. Woo! So I love women that are like that. So there was some, but you're right. There are a lot of people like our elders who, again, be like, "Oh my God, she's using curse words and profanity," and it's like, look,
they try to pussyfoot around pussy talk. That's what that is.
Listen, I can't wait to wear my shirt. The shirt I showed you.
Pussyfoot around pussy talk.
Yes.
But
pussyfoot around pussy talk. I like it. I like it. I'm not gonna steal it. I'm gonna steal it.
Because listen, we would be Saturday morning, in Black family, Saturday morning, it's cleaning day. You better put on, your most raggedy, sweatsuit, and get to work cleaning. And they would play the morning music. And we would listen to morning music, listening to Minnie Riperton, no, not Minnie Riperton, Donna Summer, Orgasm, for half a song.
Listen, on that
While
song, what's that? The
cleaning.
Love to Love You, Baby? Is that the one?
Yes.
I was like,
Don't
listen
love
to
me
who?
like a baby. She was
Listen. I'm like, what we
Love to
listening
Like a
to?
Baby. She was
Listen,
orgasming half the song. And we
listen,
just said it cleaning and listened to
cleaning,
them preach to us
listen,
about, being
listen,
all,
wiping
listen,
down, wiping the dust off the wood tables. Mhm.
singing all kinds of nasty. And even back further, they were talking a bit racy. Like, have you ever? And it's so funny. And it's not funny because it's racy. It's funny because it's the language that's used. You know, J.J. Walker All Stars band.
The who band?
I think I'm saying a J.J. Walker band.
I don't know. I might have to hear a song.
You know the song they did. That song Night and Day. That iconic Cosby Show episode where they were singing to that song. Night and Day.
Oh,
well, that was Ray Charles.
Yeah, that was Ray Charles.
But there was another one that they used. I think it's in their theme song. Dun, 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 dun. One of the seasons of the Cosby Show.
I got you.
And they used one of their songs. And I went back and I got that album.
Mm-hmm.
And the album, first of all, the album is popping. It's from the 60s. The album is popping, early 60s, I believe, if I remember correctly. And one of the songs is Put On Your Wig, Mama, and go ahead and finger pop, like finger popping. And then there's another song called, you know that phrase, go ahead and go shoot your shot. They have a song called Shoot Your Shot.
And from the 60s? I'm thinking, look, I'm thinking that was more recent.
No.
Shoot Your Shot.
There's a whole song. I'm going to send it to you.
Please do, because I love music. I love some music.
There is nothing new under the sun. Are we a bit more openly sexual? Yes. As far as our attire, as far as the way we express ourselves as individuals, yes. It is a bit more open, but we all were saying the same shit, talking about the same shit.
You're right. I thought about that too, as far as
pussy popping and finger popping. You know what I mean? That's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. But back in the day, they were saying in a way like the whispers and all of that was said in a way like, without using the to get right to it. They'll say it in a more, subtle,
slick way.
Euphemisms as opposed to it just depends on the mood or how you like it, because I love R&B. I like old school R&B, and
that's
I love
where the nastiest shit is.
And I love trap. I love all of that. So it just depends on my mood.
Now,
it's music to fit the mood. Okay.
It is. It's music to fit the mood. But they need to stop acting like we don't have the same moves that they did. And they need to stop acting like that they didn't have the same moves that we did.
Exactly.
Why are we all pretending a thing is not a thing?
Why? Listen, Millie Jackson, who else was racy? I was looking at somebody else. It's not Betty Wright, but somebody, because the whole time I was watching the documentary, I thought it was Betty Wright, but it was Betty somebody else. She was kind of
talking about. I know you talking about.
It was a great documentary.
It was like more rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my bitch. Yes.
So what was her name?
You talking about?
She's not the No Pain No Gain. All the time, the whole time I'm like, dang, I didn't know she made this music. I'm like, No Pain No Gain. I'm like, oh, that was she had transformed her life. It was a totally different person.
We're going to link this music under all those so people know exactly what we're talking about. Okay, they're going to be posted with music links so they can hear it themselves.
Listen, hold on, we got to write notes. Okay, but what's her name though? It's not Betty Wright, because that's definitely No Pain No Gain lady. But yeah, it's like, don't be afraid to talk.
You can't.
Why are we afraid to talk? That goes in line with us about the whole sex thing too. How we're afraid to talk about sex when everybody is having sex and everybody making sex seem like it's so bad. It's just like, no, talk about sex. Why are we talking about stuff or not talking about stuff and then doing it behind closed doors and then wondering why people are out here doing stuff?
Because that's how we're taught.
Secretly, because
that's what we're taught. And we're taught that from way back in the day because we didn't want, excuse me, because we didn't want white people to see us in a negative light. So we had to hide all of our, you know, even mildly bad habits, or we have to hide everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, especially the bad and ugly. And that's where the problem lies. We hid our bad and ugly not just from white people, but from ourselves and each other, and that caused 10 times more damage because we were taught to keep those things behind closed doors to alleviate any type of backlash that we would get as a community from white people, because all it took was one nigga, you know, to make white people, you know, just all, well, guess all of them are just like that, because that's how it really was. And we forget that, and they love for us to forget that. Their whole thing is they want everybody to forget all the raggedy shit that they did so they never have to feel accountability. But again, this ain't about them. So because we held all that shit behind closed doors, it breeded a lot of what we talked about before in the family affair series, was a lot of resentment, because now
and that breeds shadows.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Those shadows are out. They running loose now because this younger generation, they're digging, they're willing to do the work, the emotional work. You know, and I think we were talking about this before, of just we are so, our generation, I think millennials and then all the generations after us have so much more emotional intelligence than our elders did. And I think that they don't know how to take that either. So, yes, we are going to hold you accountable. But, again, we talked about this again. They're afraid of taking accountability because they've never been taught to take accountability. They've always been taught to hide, to cover up, to,
because we got other shit to do. We got other stuff to do. We got stuff to do. Yeah.
But now we need to take advantage of this time where, okay, white people are going to have to take on the brunt of fixing racism. That's no longer our job. We did what we had to do. And we've been saying the same shit for the last 80, 100, 200 years, and saying the same shit. So we don't need to repeat ourselves anymore. These motherfuckers can go Google, okay? They can go to the library. They can read a book. They're going to have to do that work. That labor is now on them. Now that labor is no longer on us, our new labor, and it's not really labor, it's just self-care. And that is taking more time to look at ourselves, to look at our families. And I really want parents to do that. And I include myself, I include you in all of that, because we do have a unique opportunity now as millennials to help bridge Gen X.
You're a millennial. You're a millennial.
Yeah. Me. We have the opportunity to bridge, and Gen X too. The older Gen X, I don't know.
Listen, you always know the little generations in the time. What are the age groups again? So I'm Gen X, right? Because I'm not going to remember.
You're Gen X.
I only remember millennials. That's all I remember. I don't know why.
Now yours, when's your birth year? 79?
75.
75? Okay. So you're like mid to late Gen X. And because generation, let me look it up real quick.
That's what I was going to say, like.
Because I know you are firmly Gen X.
Right. So I have a millennial child and what's after Gen X? No, what's after the millennials? Are they Y? We're going to go through this every.
That's Gen Z.
Episode. There's Z?
Yeah, that's Gen Z.
Okay.
There's, There's the boomers. That is anyone born between 1946 and 1964.
Right, that was my mom.
That's the majority of a lot of our parents.
Right.
Gen X is 1965 to 1980.
Right, so that's me.
And millennials, now they're saying millennials and Gen Y, they're kind of combining us. And that's anyone born between 1981 to 1994 to 96.
Okay, so that's my daughter. She was born in
now
93.
Gen Z is the newest generation, born between 1997 and 2012 to 2015.
Right. Yep.
So those are the age ranges behind that. And I'll fall under the boomer, early Gen X. And when I say early Gen X, I mean like from 1973 and back. The closer you get to the 60s, the more resistance you're going to get. Because that, you know, because the 60s was a very interesting time in America, period. Whether you be black or white, it was distinctly different, but it was wild. The 60s were wild. And I think we're back in the midst of that type of social change now. I think, you know, Gen Xers and millennials can really help, you know, the Gen Z and Gen Y and Gen Z really kind of bridge that emotional intelligence gap into the next phase of our progress. You know what I mean? And it is all psychological, because that's where a lot of that emotional intelligence comes from. And now we're living in a time where we're being more open, talking about mental illness, talking about therapy, talking about psychology. And because of that, yes, people are going to have to take responsibility for things, because that's the crux of having any kind of basis of emotional intelligence, is taking accountability for everything, good, bad, indifferent.
Everything. And that's the foundation of actually like building relationships with ourselves. The foundation is to have healthy relationships, and we have to start with ourselves. You know what I mean? So that's the foundation, but then we have to go back to how we got to where we are and why we are the way we are, but also keeping in mind that we have to fix the relationship with self first before we can go and try to heal our peace.
And the biggest part of that is changing. Everybody has to change, and that is the most difficult thing that everybody has to do.
Because you have to really
you have to change
or acknowledge that you need to change. There's so many people that really don't feel like they need to. I ain't even gonna say feel like they need to, but don't even realize that they need to change. Yeah,
it's scary, because change is scary. You know, but for the folks who've done it, like you and I, change is scary as fuck, because you are really introducing yourself to a different person, because you are becoming a very different person than who you were before. And it's like when you start to really take the reins of who you are, you start to take the reins of your life, and that leads you down a new path that you didn't think maybe was possible for yourself. And that breeds a different type of personal encouragement and confidence that our parents and grandparents weren't afforded. And I think that maybe is the part that they have a hard time reconciling. But what they don't understand is that y'all can come too.
Exactly.
But the part of reconciling and having accountability is going to be the hardest for them, because they have so much horrible, raggedy, fucked up shit to account for. And that's not easy to admit to, that they were that they maybe weren't the cause of it, because nobody wants to admit any fault, but you participated in it.
Yeah.
You still participated. You still continued on the tradition, even in silence. You continue on that tradition, even in omitting the truth. You're participating in that, and then that breeds a lot of distrust between generations, because again, we have access to more information. We see all that shit. We have more emotional intelligence, so we see through all your bullshit.
All of it.
You can't lie to us. And the crux of holding all that shame and manipulation together is lying. You can't lie to us anymore, because we see past your bullshit, and they don't know how to handle that.
Right. And I'll never forget when I first started this journey. So I was telling somebody the other day, this is like, I think this is year 9 now. 8.
This ain't no overnight shit, y'all.
Look, carry the one. Look, carry the one. Plus, whatever. I was telling somebody about when I was going on this healing journey, and when I started realizing that my mom really has some issues and some things that she really just didn't address, and that she was suppressing, just going back to all of that, because again, when you start the healing process, in the beginning, very early on, you really are blaming everybody else, because you're just like, oh, there's some bullshit. You know, it's something going on. You know that you're tired of some bullshit. Like, you're tired of the recurring patterns. You're tired of just being in the same, like, in different relationships, but the same type of people. And just like, okay, I'm the common denominator. But once I started healing, I'm like, oh, it was because my mama this and my daddy did this. But once I started healing, I remember my friend saying, well, your mom had a responsibility too. She could have made the decision to heal as well, because I pretty much was making, excuses for why things were the way they were, because she didn't heal. She was still mad at my grandmother for stuff that happened to her when she was a kid. But my friend was like, she had a responsibility too. Do you know what I mean? She said, just like you're doing the work and deciding to change, she said she could have very well done the same thing. And then it got me to thinking, like, we all do have a responsibility. Because you spend the most time with yourself. You know when you want some shit. You know when you're tired of some shit. So doing the work, like we said, is hard. But if you continue to sit there, that's a choice. You know what I mean? But we're not, without us getting into mental illness, because, again, that's not my lane. I'm not a psychologist. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If you are tired of seeing the same things, getting the same results, you have to be willing to do something different. That's all I'm saying. And I was tired. I'm tired of calling everybody sorry ass, ain't no good ass, and I'm just like, okay, now, so what are you contributing to that? And I started realizing, like, oh, you was kind of sorry AF too, and a lot of stuff. And that's hard to admit because you don't want to say that kind of stuff about yourself.
Nobody wants to admit they're wrong.
Nobody wants to say, oh, you are emotionally unavailable too. You are out here being a whole ass fool too. You are out here hurting people. And that was the hardest thing for me, that I was really just continuing this cycle of hurting people. Like, hurt people. I'm out here legit hurting people. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to do that because it's not legit intentional. But, again, stuff that's in the subconscious and habits and behaviors, all of that. So, we all have a responsibility to heal ourselves first so that we can heal outward and back. We got to go out and back. So we got to heal the people after us and help heal the people, try to help the people prior to us. I don't know about that. I'm more about the people for them. I ain't trying to reach back, I don't think. I ain't in.
See, I want to, because I want to reach back and help them because they did sacrifice so much for us. They did sacrifice so much of themselves. A lot of times they sacrifice some of their mental health. But at the same time, we didn't ask them to do that. We didn't force them to do that. The situation and the times and the society at hand made that situation. That wasn't on us, but we are feeling the brunt of it. We get the brunt of that. We get the brunt of, all of their, personal strife and frustration and anger. That gets taken out on us in a multitude of different ways. And we know it's not intentional. But because they went through so much, because they dealt with so much trauma, I want to, because we wouldn't be at this point right now where we would be able to talk about these things if it hadn't been for their personal sacrifices. But at that same time, you're not going to hold that over our fucking heads, because we are adults now, so now we all have the opportunity to get our shit together.
Yeah.
Let's do that together. That starts with you taking accountability too. And I'm not ever saying that from a position that I've never done it, because I have been that parent that needed to get their shit together and humble themselves and apologize to their children for fucking up. You know what I'm saying? That's not an easy thing to do, but it is so fucking necessary if you want those children to at least have any type of respect for you in order to have a loving relationship, because you can't love somebody you don't respect.
Big fact.
You can't. You can't love somebody you don't respect. And I would be remiss and a hypocrite if I didn't apologize to them, if I didn't acknowledge where I fucked up. Yes, were we in a situation that other people did some fucked up shit? Yes. But there were still things that I could have done, or things that I didn't have to do, that would have helped that situation. But I wasn't in the best mind state for that. So I had to go get help. I had to break down and admit that I needed help, and then go get help in order to get my life back together. Because everybody has ups and downs in their life, but it gets to a point where you get so far down, you do need to reach your hand up and reach out for some help, and not be ashamed to do that. And we're so taught to be shamed into stop not asking for help, because we shame people who ask for help in this community. We do.
We're taught to be strong and independent, and we got our shit together. We can handle this.
The biggest lie the black family ever told is we don't do that shit over here. Y'all do all the shit over here. Let me tell you.
We do all
the shit. And some more shit. Like, the fuck you talking about?
Exactly.
And again, that goes into us being more emotionally aware and being able to see things in a way that they're unable to, that they have, like we talked about before, like they have blind spots. You know what I'm saying? We can see their blind spots before they do, and they don't like that shit, and they don't like younger people pointing out to them like, hey, you kind of fucking up, because in the black family, that whole dynamic of the elder is always right.
Mm-hmm. You'd be like,
no, they're not. No, they're
exactly.
not. A lot of our elders are real dead-ass wrong.
I'm the one that was always like, but why? Why is this and why is that? I was always inquisitive, curious, not accepting stuff at face value. So I'm the one that was getting you have so many questions, and it's always been like this. So and I'm the
they
one
don't question it
and challenging it. Like, just because it's always been this way don't mean that it's right. I've always been this way, always. Always. But yes, we all have responsibility, and that also opens up the lines of being vulnerable, and that's another thing. Why are people calling me when I said I wasn't I legit said I am in a. We're not Xing this out because we want people to see the whole personality. Why are you calling me when I said I am in a Zoom meeting? What don't you understand about that? I said,
we're in a panda. These things happen now.
What do you want? Still in a meeting. What's up?
You are afraid of fucking with people.
Is it where the money resides? Is it where the money? Like, is it that important? Where the money reside? Where the money reside?
Take your money, young man. I like that, young man.
But yeah. So, what do we want to tell everyone? I mean, I like this episode about the parents to understand. I do because that includes us as parents and our parents and our parents' parents. So yeah. So, what do we want to leave? Before I relieve somebody, leave the people with something. The lady's name is Betty Davis.
Woo!
Her name is Betty Davis, and you're going to link Betty Davis, Millie Jackson, and Donna Summer to show that they was on some stuff.
They were listen now.
They were owning owning the power of the pussy. That's what I love.
Listen,
because like I said, I can't wait to wear my shirt. I can't wait to wear my shirt. I can't
Don't pussyfoot around the pussy.
Don't pussyfoot around the pussy. Listen, let me write that down because you play too much. You so funny.
No, wait. It was don't pussyfoot around pussy talk.
Yes. Okay, I'm writing it down. Just like that one time you said therapy for everyone. I put that on I put it on the T-shirt. God damn it. I don't play. I'm my own walking billboard.
Shit.
Don't pussyfoot around pussy talk. You so funny. K Jr. Let me give you credit, goddamn it. So I don't get sued up in here. You so funny.
What I do?
I'm gonna make us T-shirts. You send me your address. I'm gonna send it to you. I need your address. I'm writing it down a note. Let me get your address.
I'll send it to you.
But what do we want?
Put it on the screen. I want everybody to know where I live.
Right. That's why I said when we get off, girl. She was showing up where the money reside. Where the money reside.
Listen, now you're making me put a CD out. I'll listen to that first thing in the morning.
Get you motivated. But yes, I don't know if we want to. What do we want to? I
want to leave with something that I want parents to really think about, parents and grandparents, in regards to these new generations having different needs, having different wants, having different desires. As kids, we need to be different parents, and we need to really think about, because we always talk about, having the family that we didn't have and doing the things that I wanted to do that we didn't get to do as kids and stuff like that. Are we only being the parent that we always wanted, or are we being the parent that our kid needs? Because those are two different parents. Are you being the parent that your kid needs, or are you being the parent that you always wanted?
Always wanted.
Because the parent that you wanted may not be the type of parent that your kid needs.
Yeah.
And each kid needs a different type of parent. And
don't they?
Can we do that? Can we reconcile with that among ourselves? Because we always want our kids to develop certain things. We want them to like the same things we like and, you know, do the same things we do. But that's not always going to happen. And can we be okay with that? And can we support them in who they want to be?
And also, when there's more than one kid, in our case, because we have more than, so I have two daughters, and I have a 27-year-old and a 14-year-old, and my 27-year-old is always saying, well, you didn't do that for me when I was younger. You didn't act this way. It's like I'm a whole different person. I had my oldest daughter when I was 18 and had my youngest daughter when I was 31. So I was a totally different person. Even I hadn't even started healing, but now that I'm healed, so now I'm a similar parent to both of them. Do you get what I'm saying? Because they're getting the healed me. They both had the unhealed me, just different versions early on. But that same thing, my oldest daughter doesn't need the same things as my youngest one. Obviously, she's a teenager and coming into, but they still need nurturing and all of those things, but just differently.
Exactly.
So yeah, just reconcile with that. Like, I'm not going to treat y'all the same way. Y'all different people.
No.
And it's not about favoritism and liking all of that.
They're not us. They are not us. Just like we are not our parents, they are not us. They do some of the same shit we do because, you know, DNA, genes, and, you know, all that.
Exactly. All of that.
But they are not us.
Yep. Big facts.
See, that leads into next week's episode. We're going to talk about respect, mutual respect, and boundaries.
Is that the next week's topic?
Yes. Well, it's the same series, just part 2.
Yes. So that's what I was asking. So there is a part 2 to this, parents just understand.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Got it.
So this is a good lead-in into Parents Just Don't Understand part 2, where we talk about mutual respect and boundaries.
Word.
Is that a bad word in the black community?
Boundaries?
You right.
I didn't learn about boundaries until just very recently.
Yeah,
and I can peep out.
A lot of us don't realize that.
And I can peep out people in my close circle, my family, who where there aren't any boundaries, you can absolutely tell. And I can tell the difference when I started incorporating boundaries and how the dynamics of the relationships change. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. And then next week, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Very excited. We'll see y'all next week. Now, come see us now.
I am Fee.
I'm Kay Jr.
And this is Unpacking Our Shit. Thank y'all for tuning in. And hasta la bye-bye.
Bye, y'all. Stay black.
I can't.